Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Thinking Scrubs podcast. I'm your host, Raymond, and with me today is Hesed.
Hey, hello.
So, today you're joining us for another one of our episodes for this new series, the Faction Orientation Series. And today we're going to talk about CIS, or commonly known as a Separatist Alliance. So, Hesed, have you seen the CIS dominate the recent meta lately?
Well, I've seen a lot of people running droids. So
Oh, mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and
locally not really.
even in the recent Australian System Open, I think they won, right?
Yeah, they did. Pretty good showing for CIS, which surprised me.
Yes, not bad for a new faction that only came out like a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
So before we get into who the CIS or separatists are, let's talk about you, Hesed.
hmm
As our guest speaker for today, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I mean, how long have you been playing X-Wing? Like, why did you choose to play CIS? And what do you like about them? That kind of thing.
Oh well, I started looking at X-Wing around 2012, but I never really got into it until The Force Awakens. That
Mm.
movie got most Star Wars fans back on back on the hype train. So I got into X-Wing right when the movie came out, and I used to play all the factions. But when they announced the Clone Wars era, I just had to drop everything else and switch over to the Clone Wars. Because Clone Wars is my favorite era in Star Wars. This is not a secret. I especially love the CIS, and I'm really glad that they went with a bunch of generic ships as their main faction focus. I'm really happy with that.
So, what is it about the CIS has said that you like? Is it the
Uh,
Roger Roger?
yeah, it's the droids. They're very they're cookier than stormtroopers. They're really fun to watch in the old series. And when you're playing the game with the droids, it's a lot of ships versus normally a small number of ships. So it's really nice to see visually also.
However, it seems like in the Clone Wars, they seem like paper, though, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Do
that's the
you think that's well represented in the game?
oh my god. Well, if a ship doesn't die during a turn, that's an excellent. That's a very good turn for you. If only one ship dies, that's expected. So have to give everything out.
So, how long have you been? I mean, sorry, have you always brought CIS to tournaments, and how did it fare in tournaments?
I actually since they came out, I have played nothing but CIS for the past 4 months. Tourney wise, I miss out a lot because piloting a swarm gets you tired no matter who you are after a bit. So it affects your mental and physical fortitude. So during the later rounds, usually when you start losing games because of stupid mistakes. So
Fair enough, fair
yeah.
enough. With swarms, I doubt you can complete like 10 rounds.
Oh my god, no. If I ever have a chance to play 10 rounds, I'll probably play as something smaller with 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 droids, like a mini swarm with something else. But otherwise, they're really fun to play though. So
Yeah,
a good
and I
bonus.
think you're our most consistent droid player here in the local community.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I haven't seen a lot. of other people play droids.
Well, maybe it's because it's a bit expensive to collect all get a lot of droids, or is it? Well, I guess it helps with the droid pack, right? Though.
Yep, yep. Droid pack actually can get you an army really fast.
Okay, so speaking about the CIS, let's talk about who the CIS are or the Separatist Alliance are. I
Hmm.
said, would you care to share? I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know much about them, to be
I
honest.
see. Well, the CIS in the lore, they're the Confederacy of Independent Systems. At first, the Trade Federation back in episode one landed on Naboo, so and during episode two they started forming this confederacy in the background while being urged by Count Dooku under Palpatine's orders. So most of them are droids because of the Techno Union. They built the primary front line of the CIS, and they were the primary enemies of the Jedi and the clone troopers during the Clone Wars. Mostly faceless. There aren't many memorable people that are from the CIS.
Fair enough.
Mostly,
In the movies, I think I only saw Newt Gunray and
yep,
Dooku.
Dooku Grievous,
Yeah. So
basically.
how many races are in this supposed faction? And suppose.
Well, the most prominent were the Techno Union, which are droid manufacturers. You've got the Trade Federation, which um
All the money.
yep, you have all the money. You've got Geonosians, who I don't actually know what their role was, plus a bunch of other small systems. Basically, they bullied other people to join so that they could basically overthrow the Republic.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mhm.
And yeah, definitely you see them everywhere in Clone Wars, and this actually without the clone army, definitely they were the most dominant army
Yeah,
during
yep,
the era.
yep. Especially, I actually doubt if the Clone Army could take them if they use someone else as the template instead of Jango Fett. Actually, needed a really good base for the clones.
Mm,
Mm.
interesting. Well, okay, that's a different topic
Yeah,
altogether. With
yeah, no.
but moving forward, moving on with the CIS, let's talk about in game. What
Mhm.
are their strengths and weaknesses? So I see you wrote down here that first is that the energy shell charges.
Mhm.
Could you share that to with the rest of
Oh,
with the people, the audience who are not familiar with energy shell charges?
oh, sure. Energy shell charges are a missile upgrade. If I remember correctly, it's a missile or a torpedo upgrade. I think it's a missile upgrade. But it's an ordnance upgrade that fits on your basic units, and it's range 2 to 3 and attack calculate, and it's 3 dice, and you can flip one hit to a crit. So it it's a good secondary attack to use because most of your droids have two primary attack dice. So when you're
And doesn't it cost like
it's
three
like
or?
no, it's they raised it to 5 points.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
guess it was too good.
Yeah, it was too good at 3 points. It's a 5 point upgrade, and you can reload the energy shell even if you don't have the reload action, which is one of the better parts of this upgrade compared to other munitions, other ordnance. So after the first joust, you fire your missiles and then you overshoot your enemy and reload while they're turning around, which is really good. Most jousting ships eventually run out of shells, run out of torpedoes or missiles, but energy cells just have to take reload actions when you're regrouping yourself.
And what's also good about these energy shell charges is that they're a secondary weapon, so at long ranges, the enemy doesn't even get the bonus of
Yes.
range 3. So, which is kind of weird because normally swarms suck at far range.
Yep, the first joust for a swarm is usually the weakest when you're playing normal Thai swarms or say
Other swarms, yeah.
Z95s. Yeah, yeah. You're shooting two dice downrange. Two dice at range 3 is ridiculously hard to do damage even if you have passive rerolls or focus mods. But energy shells, they are secondary, so you don't get the extra agility, and we can talk about network calculations later, which is another one of the big advantages of playing a droid swarm, and it
Yep.
ties into the energy shell
Ability, yeah.
ability. Yeah.
Okay, so next is the tactical relays. This is also another faction exclusive upgrade,
Yep.
and these are, if I remember correctly, there's no bad one. I don't think I've seen a bad one yet,
Yep. Yep. There is one that is weaker than the others,
but it's
but
still not bad.
yeah, it's still not bad. Still not bad. And really proud that the CIS actually got this mechanic as an exclusive. Because in the films and in the series, you actually need to network your droids, as we saw in episode 1 when the big relay got destroyed, the droids all shut down. So it doesn't happen like that in X-Wing though. When you have a tactical relay, you get an ability for all of your droids, and since you run a lot of droids, all of them get the ability as long as they are in range. So it's really nice.
So for an army that really are expendable, they actually have a lot of sharing powers.
Yep. So that while you're a lot, there's a lot of you. You do a lot of good things.
Which one's your favorite, Hesed, of the tactical relays?
I'm a big Kraken fan.
The
Uh,
Kraken?
yep.
That's the which one's that again? Sorry.
Kraken is 10-point tactical relay, and during your end phase, you can choose three ships within range 0 to 3 of the relay carrier, and you can keep calculate tokens on those ships.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so basically they all get like the Moldy Crow title for
Yes, you get three moldy crows essentially.
for calculates, yes.
Uh,
So yeah, that's awesome. And
yes.
next, as you mentioned, network calculations.
Yep.
Another faction exclusive mechanic, which I think is not even exclusive to just the Vulture droids. I think it. Who else has this?
The Henia bombers
Oh
have
yeah,
this as well.
yes. So what does network calculations do for those first timers out there?
Network calculations allows a vulture, any of ship with this ability to spend a calculate token from a ship within range 0 to 1 from another ship that's within range 0 to 1 of them. So you're basically sharing unused calculates.
So once again, another mechanic that really ties into the whole swarm feel of
Yeah.
the faction, wherein if
Yep.
you're close to each other, you all benefit in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you fire with the first guy. If you don't spend his tokens, you can spend the tokens on the next guy. And any ships that end up not spending calculates, you can keep with Kraken. My favorite tactical relay. That's how they work. And other factions, see, I think don't have anything like this.
Well, definitely yes. And these the first three, all three faction exclusive ordnance upgrade and mechanic all tie into the calculate, which is of course exclusive to droids.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they're very efficient in using those calculate tokens.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. Although calculate is a weaker focus, it's not as weak when you have network calculations and all of these other things.
And so, well, I'm interested to know about what you meant by this. Turn maneuvers are rarely read
Yeah, it's
maneuvers.
a strength of the faction. If you notice, if you look at the dials of droid ships, their turns are blue or white.
That's
It's
interesting
Yep,
because
it's really
it's
red.
normally the inverse wherein you're banks are the blue ones, and then your turns are the red ones.
Yes. I've been thinking about that outside of the game. I think it's because you're a droid, you're calculating digitally, so you can turn, but you can't do analog, so you can't bank. It's a stupid engineering thing. So,
Yeah, the algorithm is like all 90 degrees only,
yes, all
90,
90
90.
degrees. Yeah, yeah. But banking is hard because they have to. Oh, this is so hard.
45 degrees. You can't do half only like turns.
Yeah, I think it's unique in this faction as well. And turns are the strongest. One turn is the best maneuver in X-wing. We all know this. So having a one turn that's reliably not red is a really good strength.
Would you take turns over banks all the time? Like if you had the option, okay, we're going to move either all the banks or all the turns on your dial. Which one?
Well, if you're piloting a swarm, it's better to turn. It's harder to bump into each other when you're turning.
Well, yeah. So for the newer players there, I don't know if you've tried this, but if you put two ships side by side and they both turn, they'll make it. But if they both bank, they'll bump.
Yep, they'll bump with each other.
It's
Yes.
just like it's like one of those X-wing things that you'll have to get used to.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And tying into this everything is a summary, which
Yeah.
basically means that this this faction is best known for its jousting capabilities.
Yep. It's
Mhm.
superior jousting because when you joust you have three dice like X-wings, but they don't get the range bonus at range 2 to 3 during the first joust. You have tactical relays which keep you tokened up. You can share the tokens that you don't spend, and if they try to throw you off, it's easier to maneuver around with your turn maneuvers.
And speaking of jousting, so if normally in a normal joust, let's say a droid swarm is composed of at least 5 to 6 ships, is that
6 to 8, I think. 6 to 8 is the number I usually look at.
oh even with your tactical relays, your energy shells in place, and all that stuff?
Yep. Because a vulture droid, the basic vulture droid with charges is 24 points, 25 if you take grappling strats. So you take you take 5 of these, it's 125. So you still have
Wow.
75 points for your relay.
That is insane.
Yep.
So even if you faced a TIE I am not even sure what even the tankiest ship would survive a joust with this.
Probably not.
What
Um, I
what's the
haven't.
biggest ship that you brought down with a joust?
I do you remember pre-nerf Fat Hand with the break?
Yeah.
Yeah, I killed that in one turn.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, he decided to joust. It was not my. It was not my fault. So
Yes.
so
So for new players out there, if you ever see a swarm, don't
don't
joust.
don't the car. Yes.
That's that's a number one against droids. Don't joust.
Even if you think you can kill 2 or 3, just don't do it. You're gonna lose a guy, and it's gonna be hard to get back.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, moving on, I think we've spoken enough strengths. I think people are starting to know what they're about, but about their weaknesses, because you have to have some. No
Yes.
one's perfect. So most of their ships do not have a focus action.
Yes. They are mostly calculates. Although you can share your calculates, focus modifies everything, but calculate only modifies one thing. So if you need more than 2 calculates, you're probably not going to be able to modify the dice.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, also uh, an important thing. It doesn't come up as often, but when a droid gets ionized, it can't do a focus action because it does not have the focus action. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I never thought about that.
thematic and it's crap. When it happens, it feels so bad. When you get when you
Well,
get
yeah,
yeah,
technically droids should be the most affected with ionized because they're electrical and all that stuff.
yeah, such a feel bad when you get the ion token crit from the deck.
Ooh, that's gonna.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get the feeling that when Ion Bomb comes out in the next card pack, that it's gonna be horrible for droids.
I don't want to think about it. Oh man.
Yeah, so that's. Oh no, we're just like giving people ideas now. Okay. Okay, so next, you mentioned is low evade values.
Yep. If you notice across the faction, the highest evade is 2. You can
Mhm.
get to 4 with the Sith Infiltrator's cloak, but generally it's 2 dice, and a lot of the droid units that you commonly use have no shield. So generally, when you take a crit, you're gonna take it to the face.
Fair enough. And with two dice, that's basically you're not even guaranteed one. That's like
Yeah.
a maybe 50% chance for to roll one. I think.
Yep.
Don't on me on my math because I'm just like guessing here.
Yep.
Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, the inverse of having good turn maneuvers is that the bank maneuvers were sacrificed.
Yep. That's true. Although it's better to turn when you're a swarm, sometimes you really need the distance while turning, and the 3 bank and the 2 bank are the what some of the fastest maneuvers you can do in X-Wing while you're turning. Um, you when you see a 3 bank that's red and 2 bank that's white, they don't even have 1 banks if I remember correctly.
Ooh.
Um, so sometimes you need to bank and you can't bank. Unlike other ships that have reliable turns and banks.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
But I think you forgot to mention one thing though is that the droids do have linked barrel roll and calculate, right?
Yes, they do. And when you do that, it's so hard to clear the the stress because you have your two straight, your two straight, your one turns and one straights, I think, as your blues. So you don't have banks as blues.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're really forced to make a hard turn and just adjust before.
Yep.
Wherein a bank is a more of a subtle turn wherein you can kinda gauge where the opponent is.
Yep. You see more with a bank when you want to bank towards that direction versus when you turn. You can cover more with the bank. Um, it's weird to say, but it's hard to visualize without showing you on the table. But
True.
when you're a certain distance away, he can only move forward so fast. So the turn actually covers less.
So I guess it kind of fits into the theme of the faction wherein they they don't so droids do not have the ability to assume. They
Yeah.
just we calculate, we just turn, we commit or whatever to the side, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like we don't wait and see because we're robots, right?
Yes, it's true. Just follow the programming.
Yeah, actually, one thing when the droids came out, I would have thought, hey, if they're droids, then technically there shouldn't be any player interaction at all. You shouldn't be even setting your dials. Like automatically, when you put them down, you can put them down, and then automatically they should follow a program. It's like if let's say your enemies in the left quadrant, they should all move that way. And
Oh my.
yeah, no,
Oh my.
that's real robotic talaga.
I don't want. I don't want. I don't know if I want to play. Am I even playing when I do this?
Well, you still roll the dice. Diba? So,
Sure. That works. Oh.
and then lastly, you mentioned is that only one ship currently has PS6 for
Yes.
droids. Ah, sorry,
It's
for TIS.
yes for the entirety of CIS. The highest the highest droid pilot skill is 4. I think it's Grievous at 4. PS6, you have the Nantex, which is which is one ship. Most other factions have three to four ace ships, PS6 ships. If you want to play something with an ace, stay away from this faction. You're not gonna do much, especially if you're a newer player. The Nantex is not your traditional ace. It flies so differently from what we are used to seeing from aces. And you
But
can't support the PS6 with a bunch of PS4s and PS5s. I don't think.
so it's definitely not an ace high list.
No, it's not.
But interesting about the Nantex. Do they work well with the droids, or have you found any synergies with them with the droids?
I hear they are good with a mini swarm. The Nantex is really expensive though. Really expensive for a ship that's that fragile. But the tractor shenanigans are really good with a swarm of four or five vultures with shells.
I haven't. I don't think we've seen that on the table yet here locally,
Yeah.
but it just seems such a complicated mechanic. Like I
Yes.
have to think about what's this like tractor, then what happens, and then like do I tractor you or
Yep.
so many things going on.
Tractoring someone is a really good way to kill it with a swarm though. So it's something worth exploring. But I don't know if I want to spend that many points on a fragile PS6.
Yeah, well, I- i- is it hard to kill though? Because if it's hard to kill, then the swarm can do most of the heavy lifting, while the Nantex can run away or just
Mhm.
be in a more defensive position.
I heard it's really good when you get used to how it flies. I haven't touched it because it looks dumb. I'm so sorry. I don't like looking at these Nantex
Fair
while I'm
enough.
playing. Yeah.
You like robots, and
Yeah.
they're not robots; they're little mosquitoes.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, so I think it's still pretty early in the meta right now to see the long-term effect of Nantex in the game.
Hmm.
So hopefully we'll get to see it. So I think we've talked about the strengths, some weaknesses. We covered a lot of ground there. So if I were a new player, I said,
Hmm.
and I asked you, hey, why should I pick CIS or Separatists? What would you? So this would be like your summary
Yep.
spiel to me.
Yep. That's my pitch. If you like beating down your opponents with superior numbers and you don't care when someone dies, like, oh no, droid number 4, goodbye. It
Yes.
doesn't matter.
And since they're robots, you care less even more if they were human pilots. Like,
Yep.
eh.
So when you kill someone named, it feels so nice. It's the
Right.
best swarm faction in my opinion in HC.
And yeah, definitely that you can field the most number of ships with decent upgrades and
Yeah.
all
If they
their
didn't
mechanics.
if they didn't put the 8 ship cap, you can run 10 vultures with a couple of shells because you have 10 points left over. So
Dang.
it gets really ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder if they should have like a faction only card that says you can put 2 additional ships.
Make it a relay. I'd
Oh
play that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'd play that.
That'd be awesome. Actually, if they had like a special card that said like you can only play vultures only, and you can like go past the limit and then maybe give them like a bonus penalty, maybe like five extra points. I think yeah, that would be
That would be really
fun.
nice.
So yeah, definitely if you're a swarm player and you're like um you're not sentimental.
Yeah. They also look really good on the table when you are jousting. It's really nice to look at. It's a big part for me also because it really feels like the Clone Wars.
True.
Mm.
And about the design of the ships too. I mean, they all look very util util okay, I forgot the word. It,
Utilitarian? Sorry?
yes,
Uh-huh.
that they're all like it's like you're like your ships are like arrows and they block out the sun kind of thing. they
Yeah.
block out the they block out
Right.
the playing field,
Yeah.
and you're sometimes half the time you're just wondering like I hope I don't even bump or something get in their way.
Yeah. Yeah, they cause really intense traffic jams as well. Traffic jams on the board. So yeah, that's something.
So okay, so we've discussed the spiel to new players. If you're
Mm-hmm.
interested now, we got them interested in playing CIS. Hopefully,
Mm-hmm. I
now
hope
let's
so.
talk about what if now they're into it and what do they get.
Okay, so there's the Servants of Strife, which is the equivalent of the Guardians of the Republic box for the Republic. You have two vultures and a Belbalab ship. This is one of the best buys for um, for CIS because you get three ships for a nice price. I recommend getting two of these because you're probably never gonna use more than two of the Belbalab. But it's a nice way to get a lot of vultures really quickly.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Although, yeah. So what would your recommendation there be? Because thinking about it, if I get two, but if I want to learn a swarm, as you said, like six,
Mm-hmm.
then do I still need to buy the expansion, or should I just buy another one of this to get six?
The expansion is good because it has a couple of things that aren't in the Servants of Strife box. You get buzz droids in the blister. Uh, I recommend getting at least one of the blisters, and you can now run. If you get two of the Servants of Strife and one blister, you now have five vultures and two Delbalubs, and that's enough to actually make a good 200 point list. With all of the things in the boxes, you don't have to buy anything outside of the box.
Yeah. So for sorry, just a clarification for the newer players. It's an expansion box now. We don't is it Steven? I don't think it's still called a blister nowadays though,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
not.
in a it's in a box now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so there's just some reference to the older players there. You probably know what we're talking about.
The infiltrator is a good buy as well, but I recommend having played around with with a mini swarm first because the infiltrator, in my opinion, works best with a mini swarm. So you're gonna be flying vultures with it. So get some practice with vultures. You can also start with two servants of strife and one sit infiltrator. That's a good buy as well. Um, you can have an infiltrator, Belbalab, and three to four vultures. That all fits. It's crazy how much utility you can get out of like two two servants of strife. The third, not so much. But if you just need two more vultures and can't find the expansion box, I wouldn't mind spending money on this on a third. Um, the droid bomber, it's an okay carrier. It's a really weird ship. Um, I recommend getting more experience before thinking if you want one of these because eh, it's not like other ships. Every single pilot has a different configuration.
Oh, so there are no
Yeah,
generics for the droid bomber?
the droid bomber has generics, but there's a bomber platform which has bombs. There's a missile platform which has missiles. There's one that carries a tactical relay, and there are a couple of named pilots. They all have different upgrade slots. They don't have the same upgrade slots.
Oh, so it's kind of like the Alpha class Starwing, wherein you can like change up its purpose and stuff like that kind of
Yep,
thing.
but it's tied to the pilot card instead of
Mm-hmm.
upgrades. So it's really weird, and until you figure out what you want, out of it, best to stay away. Maybe get one because there are some nice upgrades there for down the line. There's a unique missile there that I really like, but I don't recommend to newer players.
Which missile is that?
Diamond Boron.
Oh, is that the one that hits the ones with lesser agility? Oh, sorry. They have to
Yep.
roll.
Yep. You you shoot one guy and everyone in range 0 to 1 of your target gets collateral damage. It's really
Hmm. I kind of think that actually works against them, but against
nice.
the swarm. But yeah, I guess if you're fighting another swarm, then you have an edge over them
Hmm.
using that. Okay, so yeah, so if you're a newer player, start with the Servants of Strife. Then, as you play more, move down this line
Yep.
to the
Yes.
Sith. Then maybe the Droid Bomber, and we didn't even include it here. But if you're really crazy, go for the Nantex or
Yes.
well, not crazy. We didn't mean like crazy, like you'd be crazy to buy it. But like if you're feeling crazy and you want to try
Yes.
something different, way different that I don't think he has is any in any faction in this game. Try the
Yeah.
Nantex.
No one has a no one has a ship like that in the faction. Yeah, I mean in the game. And you're gonna be using vultures no matter what kind of CIS list you're using. You're constantly asking yourself if this ship is better or if I just take a couple of vultures instead. So it's better to get practice with the vultures when you start out, just so you can carry that skill set as you progress.
Well, for me, if you ask me, actually, if the question was if I could fill any ship or three vultures, I would always say three vultures.
Yes, I agree. Really good.
Because three vultures is already, even with the network calculate, they're already a
Yeah,
pain to deal with.
really good. And it's 60 points. It's so cheap for what you get. 57, 60 with the strats.
Yeah,
So
even if you use all three of them, just so with 140, you could fill in two infiltrators and then wait, and Nantex and an infiltrator, I think.
yeah, I think that fits.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's yours. Even if they just played support, they'll still mess around with your opponent a lot.
Yep. It's the faction's bread and butter, so to say.
Yeah. So I guess that concludes our faction orientation with the CIS.
Hmm.
Hesed, do you have anyone you want to shout out to before we close?
Well, so many people. The stores that keep providing us X-Wing, we've got Grayson Games, we've got Neutral Grounds. Thank you for your continued support for the game and the community as well. Thank you for keeping this wonderful game alive in Manila.
Oh, definitely, yeah. The community
Yeah,
is core, and of course, the stores that support us. Where, what if they didn't exist, then no one would be playing right now.
it's true. Thank you as well for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to discuss my favorite faction.
And we're glad to have you. So, if you like this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Share your love of X-Wing to the rest of the world, and if they're interested in finding out more about the other factions, they're up on the channel as well. So watch out for. We still have one of these more to go. Hopefully, it'll be out next week. And I guess that's it.
All right.
So this is Raymond again and Hesed
Mm-hmm.
signing off. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.